I live in Montreal, Canada, Quebec, Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I was born here. And something that we are very, very famous for here, probably the thing we're most famous for is smoked meat, which I don't eat, but we are also famous. Are we famous for the maple syrup? I'm not sure, but we eat a ton of maple syrup here. A ton, and like a lot of maple syrup flavored things as well. We love it. But we are also famous for the bagels. And so is New York. And while my parents are both New Yorkers, I have to stay loyal to Montreal in the lifelong rivalry that is between Montreal and New York as far as who makes the better bagel. Because it is hands down Montreal. No question. Just we make the better bagels, the real bagels. There. That having been said, I actually tried to make bagels for the very first time. No, the very second time. But the first time I tried them, it was years ago and it was with a bread machine and I just don't even remember. I think they were very strange. I think they tasted very, very weird and it was like in the 90s. So it doesn't even count. I did try this week, let's call it the first time, for the very first time to hand make bagels. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually think that I did a pretty good job. I mean, they're not perfect. There's definitely room for improvement. And if any bagel experts are watching this, they will probably be able to name like a minimum of 6 different ways that I went wrong doing this. But I had a lot of fun making them. I think they're really tasty, and I actually made them quite small, which turned out to be a good thing because I can't actually eat a whole regular bagel for whatever reason. I don't know why, but when I eat a whole bagel, I don't feel great. I can eat a half a bagel, not a whole bagel so much, except for these bagels that I made, no problem. Cute, little, perfect size bagels. And that's all I wanted to share with you today. I want to share with you this bagel recipe. It is really so much easier than I thought it was going to be. So if the thing that is stopping you from trying is that you feel like it's going to be too hard, it's actually really simple. There's a few steps involved, but it's actually very straightforward. I'm going to be really honest with you. I got this recipe out of a New York cookbook. That's right. You heard me. But I just want to say I really feel like since bagels originated that they've changed a lot, because the bagels in New York now to me seem like big, fat, puffy bread blobs. And the bagels in Montreal are more thin and chewy, and that's what these bagels turned out like. I know they're from a New York cookbook, an amazing cookbook full of all kinds of cool history and photos and stories and stuff. But the recipe in this New York cookbook turned out more like Montreal bagels. Is it because a Montrealer made them? I don't know. But the first step is to take a packet of dry yeast and 1.5 teaspoons of dark brown sugar and mix that into 1.5 cups of warm water, which is about 105 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. and you mix that up well and then let it sit so that the yeast can be activated. And you'll know that that's happening when it starts to rise up to the top and form kind of a foamy, bubbly layer on the top. Once that happens, you can add your other 1.5 teaspoons of brown sugar and about a teaspoon of salt and mix that up a little bit. And then your next step is going to be to start adding the flour. So in total, you're going to be using about 4 cups of all-purpose flour, but you're going to add it slowly, about 1 cup at a time. I just mixed it with my hands. I didn't bother with a spoon because it doesn't take long before the flour and liquids start to form a dough that you can just handle with your hands. I have a tendency of being afraid of over mixing my dough, so sometimes I underdo it, which is just not any more helpful than overdoing it. And I think it's because dough kind of reaches this very sticky stage, and if you keep going, if you keep kneading the dough after this, well, like if you push through that sticky stage, it will start to have a really nice sheen to it and it'll be very uniform. But sometimes I get nervous that I'm over kneading it and I'm making it too sticky. But I actually persevered this time, and I just kept going until I had a pretty nice uniform ball with a good sheen on it. Once you reach that point, you want to cover your dough up. I will often wet a tea towel with some warm water, and then you stick your dough in a warm place to rise for about 40 minutes. The next thing that I did was to measure the whole ball of dough to see approximately how much each piece of the dough should weigh. I just weighed the first 1 or 2 little pieces to make sure that I had kind of the right weight, and then I eyeballed it from there. So you'll see in a bagel shop that they'll roll out these big long snakes. My table is not big enough to do that. And then they will cut off the pieces 1 piece at a time as they need it to make each bagel. They don't cut the whole long snake of dough all at once into pieces. And I honestly cannot remember the reason why, even though my youngest daughter, Chloe, who used to work in a bagel shop when she was really, really young, explained it to me yesterday. I honestly can't remember what the reason was that she said, but when I went to a bagel shop afterwards to take some footage to show you, I noticed that's exactly what they were doing there also. So I cut each piece of dough as I needed it. And by cut it, well, I didn't actually cut it. I just pulled pieces off. So maybe that was like mistake number 4 that I've already made. I don't know. I'm telling you, they tasted really, really good. They worked really, really well. So just follow my lead here. And once you've rolled out your piece of dough that is the right weight or the right size, you're just going to wrap it around your hand, kind of like a little bracelet, and then seal the edges together. I kind of made a little knot, sort of, like just tied the ends together so that they won't fall apart when I put them in the water, which is the next step. So once all of my bagels were rolled and ready to go, I put some water on to boil, and once the water was boiling, I put my bagels in a few at a time. I didn't put in too many at once because I didn't want them to stick to each other. And then I just boiled them lightly for about 2 minutes on each side and then pulled them out. And you want them to drain really well on a rack or on a paper towel if that's what you have before you bake them. While my bagels were boiling, I got out a baking sheet and a piece of parchment paper, and I sprinkled some cornmeal on the parchment paper. You could probably skip the parchment. I just am really in the habit of using it to avoid having things stick to. Once the bagels are dry, you can put either seeds or onions or whatever toppings you want to put on top of them. I sprinkled poppy seeds on some of them, and I sprinkled sesame seeds on the other ones. And then, of course, Chloe pointed out to me later when it was too late that I should have actually dipped the bagel right into a bowl of seeds, and then I would have had way more seeds stick to the bagel. But as I said, it was too late. I had already made my bagels, but next time I'll definitely do that. And next time I will definitely make onion bagels because they are my absolute favorite. For the bagels that I did make already, they went into the oven for about 12 minutes, and then I turned them over and baked them for about another 10 minutes on the other side until they were a really beautiful brown. And then we ate them with cream cheese and lox, well, vegan cream cheese and smoked carrots. The recipes for both of which are on the website at sweetvegan.net. So if you want to make your own, you can head over to the website and check out the recipes there. I will also post the recipe for these bagels on Sweet Vegan. But you can also use store-bought vegan cream cheese and store-bought smoked carrots or vegan lox, obviously. And I love them with some red onion and capers, and sometimes with some tomatoes. So as you can see, they were pretty straightforward. There was a few steps, like I said, but they were pretty easy to make, honestly, and they are so tasty, and I hope that you will try them. And if you do, I hope you'll leave a comment below and let me know how it went, and if you made any changes or added any cool toppings or ingredients inside that I haven't tried yet. I would love to hear about it. I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I know I say that every single video, but I truly, truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. I thank you. It means a tremendous amount to me. And if you are a Patreon subscriber, I can't even thank you enough for believing in the work that I'm doing, for contributing to the work that I'm doing, wanting to be a part of it, and literally helping to make this channel possible. So thank you. If you are someone who would like to work one-on-one with me for naturopathy or nutrition, there is a booking link in the description below, and I work with people both virtually at a distance and also live here in Montreal. I will be back next week, and in the meantime, take really good care of yourselves. Bye.